All right, so in the past few weeks, we cover about area. We talk about even came out with formulas. Areas that we know are like parallelograms, polygons, triangles, and rectangles. Now we're gonna be talking about figures. In mathematics, figures is basically three-dimensional things. More than that, we're gonna talk about prisms. Now, a prism is basically an image, like a three-dimensional figure, that the top and the bottom are going to be the same. We're going to call those bases. The top and the bottom are going to be the same. Everything else are rectangles. Kind of like your room. When you think about a room, a bedroom, top and bottom are the same thing. Once again, they call bases. In a bedroom, we call them ceiling and floor. So the bases are the same. And then the walls are rectangles. So for prisms, the top and the bottom, the bases are the same. Everything else are rectangles. All right, let's take a look. So question number one, I can tell that the base is a triangle. So I'm going to have two triangles, right? One on the top and one at the bottom. We can see them here. You see there's one triangle. There's one at the bottom. So once again, I'm just going to draw two triangles. One at the bottom and one on the top. So again, they're called bases. When we see it as in a bedroom, that's like a ceiling and the floor. Now, I know for the area of a triangle, I'm going to multiply the two numbers that meet at the 90-degree corner. So I'm looking for the 90-degree corner. The two numbers that meet at the 90-degree corner, in this case, is 5.4. And then this other side, I'm going to say it's 11. Right? I'm getting it from here. So I'm going to multiply, for the triangle, I'm going to multiply the two numbers that meet at the 90-degree corner. So I'm going to go 5.4 times 11. My result, I'm going to divide it by 2. So my result, let me divide it by 2, and it gives me that each triangle in this case is 29.7. So 29.7. I just went 5.4 times 11, and my result, I divided by 2. Now let me worry about the walls. Since the bases have 3 sides, that means I'm going to have 3 walls. Take a look at your room right now. The amount of sides the bases have, in this case, the ceiling and the floor, the amount of sides the bases have is how many walls you have. Unless, obviously, you're in the kitchen, you have an open room concept, that's a different thing. But on the bedroom, think of the bases. The amount of sides the bases have is how many walls you have. So our triangle has 3 sides, so I came out with 3 walls. Let me look for the number that has nothing to do with my triangles. That's basically the distance between the two triangles. The number that has nothing to do with my triangles, in this case, is 8. That's the height of the figure. When you're looking at your room, that's the height of your room. Now, this 8, I'm going to multiply it to each side of my base. So each side of my triangles. I see my triangles, one side of my triangles is 10. So 8 times 10, that gives me 80. The other side of my triangle is 11. So 8 times 11, that gives me 88. Now the short side of the triangle is 6. I'm getting it from there. So I'm just going to go 8 times 6, that gives me 48. So I figure what was the height, the distance between the two triangles. And that number, I multiplied it to each side of my base. So I was getting the area of each of the walls. Now, I'm just going to add everything. I'm just going to add the 3 numbers that I see there, 29.7 plus 29.7 plus 80 plus 88 plus 48. According to my calculator, I have 275.4. Now let's take a look at question number 2. The bases in this case are also triangles. So once again, I'm going to have 2 bases, like the ceiling and the floor. So I'm going to put my 2 triangles. For my two triangles, I know I'm looking for my 90-degree angle, that little box. And I'm going to multiply the two numbers that meet at that corner. One of my numbers is 7.3. The other number, in this case, is 10. I see it from here. So I'm going to go 7.3 times 10. In my result, I'm going to divide it by 2. Right, for triangles, we always go multiply the two that meet at the 90-degree corner, and then we divide it by 2. So in this case, my triangles, each of them is 36.5. Each of the bases is 36.5. All right, let me erase this. Let me look for the three sides of my triangle. I see one of them is 10, the other one is 10, and the other one, I'm going to write it up here, it is 8. Those are the three sides of my triangle. All right, I have 3 walls, right? Because my triangle has 3 sides, so I'm going to have 3 walls. The number that has nothing to do with my triangles, in this case, is 8. That number, I'm going to multiply it to each side of my triangles. So I'm going to go 8 times 10, that gives me 80. 8 times the other 10, that gives me 80. And then 8 times 8, that gives me 64. The idea on this is, why do I multiply to each? Because look, the length of 10, when I'm looking at the second wall, remember for a rectangle, I just go base times height or length times width. Basically, 10 is the length and 8 is the width. That's why I multiplied it in there. So, all right, so now that I have all the walls, let me add them all. I'm just going to go 36.5 plus 36.5, right? I added the two bases, plus 80 plus 80 plus 64, basically the walls. My result here, I happen to get 297. If you have decimals, round it to the nearest tenth. Your final answer. Round it to the nearest tenth, which basically means 1 decimal number. I didn't have to round in this case in question 1 or 2, but if you do have decimals, round it to the nearest tenth, so that means 1 decimal number if necessary. All right, let's take a look at a couple more examples. Question number 3. I see the top and the bottom are triangles, so I'm still dealing with a triangular prism. So I'm going to do my two bases, so 2 triangles. For the triangle, once again, I'm looking for the two numbers that meet at the 90-degree corner. I'm going to say this side right here is 6, because the same as this one up here. This other side here, it is 8, because it's the same as this side right here. So I'm just going to go 6 times 8. And my result, I'm going to divide it by 2. So 6 times 8 is 48. 48 divided by 2 is 24. Each of my triangles is 24. Because the base has 3 sides, right? My triangle has 3 sides. That means this room has 3 walls. Let me look for the 3 numbers on my triangle. I have this triangle here at the bottom, and I see my 3 numbers there, 6, 8, and 10. Now, let me identify the number that has nothing to do with my triangles. In this case, 8. I'm going to multiply that 8 to each side of my triangles. I'm going to go 8 times 6, 8 times 8, and 8 times 10. It doesn't matter which order you write them, as long as you write all 3. Now, I'm just going to add everything. I'm going to add the bases, 24 plus 24. I'm going to add the bases first, and I'm going to go plus 48 plus 64 plus 80. And my result happens to be 240. Once again, if I have a decimal, round it to the nearest tenth, which means 1 decimal place if necessary. Let's take a look at question number 4. We have 2 triangles, so our bases are 2 triangles, right? Because I'm dealing with triangular prisms. Now, for the triangles, let me find the 2 numbers that meet at the 90-degree corner. I see my 90-degree angle, and I'm going to say this side is the same as this one, so it means this side must be 3. This other side is the same as this one. So this side must be 4. So for that triangle, I'm going to go 3 times 4 and then divide it by 2. So that gives me that each triangle is 6. My triangle has 3 sides, so this room must have 3 walls. I'm going to identify the 3 sides of my triangle. There are 3, 4, and 5. So I see the 3 sides of my triangle. Then let me find the number that has nothing to do with my triangles. It's basically the distance between the 2 triangles. In this case, 5. That 5, let me multiply it to each side of my triangles. So I'm going to go 5 times 3, 5 times 4, and 5 times 5. Now that I have all the walls, let me add them all up. I'm going to go 6 plus 6. I'm adding the 2 bases first, plus 15, plus 20, plus 25. And that gives me 72. So all we do for prisms, we look at the 2 bases, and then depending on the amount of sides the base has, is how many walls we have around.